A flickering flame. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, countless worlds spun like glittering jewels against the inky black of space, and on one small, unremarkable planet, a flicker of defiance was about to ignite into a raging inferno. Zara Solaris, Earth's youngest diplomat to the Galactic Council, strode through the gleaming halls of the council chambers on Altair Prime. Her dark hair, shot through with strands of silver, was pulled back in a severe bun, accentuating her sharp features and the determination that burned in her brown eyes. She had fought tooth and nail for this audience with the Council, to make them understand the desperation growing on Earth and its colonies under the weight of their sanctions. Food was scarce, medical supplies dwindling, and the people were growing restless. Ambassador Zara took a deep breath as she was called forward to speak. She looked up at the semicircle of counselors, their faces a mix of boredom and disdain. Many were from species that had long looked down upon humans as primitive, emotional, barely worthy of a seat at the galactic table. Esteemed counselors, Zara began, her voice ringing clear in the chamber. I come before you today not to beg, but to demand that you hear the voice of humanity. Your sanctions are not just crippling our economy, they are threatening the very lives of our people. The Altarian counselor, a tall, spindly being with luminous silver skin, waved a dismissive hand. You exaggerate, Ambassador Solaris. Our sanctions are a necessary response to humanity's repeated violations of galactic law. Your species is too volatile, too unpredictable to be trusted with free rein. Zara gritted her teeth, holding back the surge of anger that threatened to color her words. Unpredictable. We have done nothing but try to cooperate, to find a path forward as equal partners in this galaxy. It is not volatility to demand basic rights and dignity. You forget your place. Another counselor interjected, his voice a low guess. Humanity is a newcomer to the galactic stage. You must earn your place, not demand it. The dismissal in their voices, the casual disregard for human lives, struck Zara like a physical blow. How could they be so blind, so uncaring? Did they not realize that every sanction, every restriction, only fanned the flames of unrest on Earth? As Zara argued and pleaded, her composure slowly cracking under the weight of the Council's indifference, a strange sensation began to flicker at the edges of her consciousness. It was a feeling she had been trying to ignore for weeks now, a prickling heat that danced along her nerve endings and set her heart racing. In quiet moments, when the weight of her responsibilities became too much to bear, Zara found herself haunted by dreams. Dreams of an ancient Earth, of blood-soaked battlefields and warriors who fought with a fury that seemed barely human. And always, at the center of these visions, a figure wreathed in flame and shadow, eyes burning with a rage that could shatter worlds. Zara pushed the unsettling thoughts aside as she made one final, desperate appeal to the Council. But as she looked into their cold, alien eyes, she knew it was futile. They had made their decision long before she set foot in the chamber. The sanctions would continue. Humanity would suffer. And on Earth, in the hearts of a people pushed to the brink, a flame was beginning to flicker dangerously bright. As Zara left the council chamber, defeat weighing heavy on her shoulders, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was awakening deep within her people. A memory, long buried, of a time when humans bowed to no one. The Galactic Council had no idea what they were igniting with their callous disregard. They thought humans weak, controllable. But Zara knew the truth. Humanity had a warrior's spirit buried in their bones, and when pushed too far, even the most peaceful soul could unleash a fury that would shake the stars. In the depths of space, a storm was brewing, and at its heart, a flicker of defiance burned, ready to explode into an all-consuming fire. The Council had ignored human rage for too long. They were about to learn the price of their arrogance. The sleeping warrior. In the days following her failed appeal to the Galactic Council, Zara found herself increasingly haunted by the strange dreams that had plagued her for weeks. Visions of ancient battles and warriors wreathed in flame danced behind her eyelids every time she closed her eyes. Desperate for answers, Zara dove into the archives, scouring old Earth legends and myths for any clue to the meaning behind her dreams. It was there, in a dusty tome of Norse mythology, that she first encountered the word that would change everything: Berserker. The text spoke of fierce warriors who fought with a fury that seemed almost inhuman, as if possessed by the spirit of wild beasts. They were said to be immune to pain and fear, able to shrug off wounds that would fell a normal man. And when the rage was upon them, their strength was unmatched. Zara felt a chill run down her spine as she read the ancient words. The description of the Berserkers seemed to resonate with the visions that had been haunting her dreams. But what could a 1,000-year-old Earth legend have to do with her? The answer came in a message from her sister back on Earth. Their mother was ill, the message said, and asking for Zara. With a heavy heart, the diplomat boarded a shuttle and set out for humanity's beleaguered homeworld. The Earth that greeted Zora was a far cry from the vibrant, hopeful place she remembered from her childhood. The sanctions had taken a heavy toll, leaving once thriving cities shrouded in an air of desperation and decay. But it was the sight of her mother, once so strong and vital, wasted away to a pale shadow of herself, that truly broke Zora's heart. As she sat by the older woman's bedside, holding her frail hand, her mother's eyes suddenly opened, bright with a fierce light. "Zara," she whispered, her voice urgent. "There's something you must know. About our family. About who you are." With halting words, her mother began to weave a tale that seemed almost too fantastic to believe. She spoke of a lineage stretching back to the mists of Earth's history, of ancestors who had fought with a fury that had made them legends. Berserkers. The word hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. "It's in our blood, Zara," her mother said, her grip tightening. "The rage. The strength. It sleeps within us, waiting to be awakened." Zara shook her head, trying to process the enormity of what she was hearing. But even as she struggled with disbelief, a part of her knew it was true. The dreams, the restless energy that had been building within her, it all made a strange, terrifying sense. She stayed by her mother's side until the end, holding her hand as she slipped away. And as she emerged from the darkened room, eyes red with grief, Zara knew that everything had changed. The Berserker blood was real, and it flowed through her veins. As news of humanity's suffering under the sanctions spread, the unrest that had been building on Earth and its colonies finally exploded into open rebellion. And everywhere, the name of Zara Solaris, the diplomat who had dared to defy the Galactic Council, was on everyone's lips. Zara found herself thrust into the heart of the growing rebellion, her impassioned speeches and unyielding defiance making her a symbol of hope for the downtrodden masses. But even as she threw herself into the fight, Zara could feel the rage growing within her, a simmering fury that threatened to consume her. She knew she was walking a razor's edge, balancing on the precipice of a power she barely understood. The Berserker blood was awakening, and Zara wasn't sure if she would be able to control it. But with her people suffering and the galaxy watching, Zara knew she had no choice. She would confront the Galactic Council one last time, armed with the righteous anger of a people pushed too far. And if the Council refused to listen, then may the gods help them all. For Zara could feel the ancient power stirring in her veins, the sleeping warrior within her beginning to awaken. The Galactic Council had no idea what they were about to unleash: defiance and desperation. As the flames of rebellion spread across Earth and its colonies, Zara found herself at the center of a maelstrom. The once peaceful protests had given way to something darker, more desperate. Across the galaxy, human rebels lashed out against their alien overlords, fueled by a lifetime of repressed anger. At the forefront of this bloody uprising was Zora's estranged brother, Kai. A firebrand and a warrior, Kai had always chafed under the yoke of galactic oppression. Now, with a rifle in his hands and a battle cry on his lips, he led daring raids against the Council's outposts, striking fear into the hearts of their alien oppressors. Zara watched her brother's exploits with a mixture of awe and trepidation. A part of her longed to join him, to let the rage that simmered in her veins boil over into righteous fury. But another part, the diplomat who still believed in the power of words over weapons, held her back. The decision was taken out of her hands when Kai showed up at her door one night, his face bloody and his eyes wild. "Zara," he panted, gripping her shoulders. "We need you. Your people need you. It's time to stop talking and start fighting." Zara shook her head, torn. "Kai, I can't. Violence will only beget more violence. We need to find a way to make them understand." Kai's laugh was harsh, bitter. "Understand? Zora, they will never understand. They see us as beneath them, as animals to be caged and controlled. The only thing they'll understand is the barrel of a gun." He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "The Berserker blood flows in you, sister. I can see it. You were meant for more than pretty speeches and empty diplomacy. You were meant to lead us, to fight for us. Embrace it." Zara closed her eyes, feeling the truth of his words resonate in her bones. The rage was there, pulsing beneath her skin like a living thing. It terrified her, and it thrilled her. But she couldn't give in. Not yet. She had to try, one last time, to make the council see reason. "Give me a chance, Kai," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "One last chance to do this my way. If I fail, then I'll fight with you. I swear it." Kai studied her for a long moment, his jaw tight. Then, slowly, he nodded. "One chance. But Zara, don't wait too long. Our people are dying." The weight of those words hung heavy on Zora's shoulders as she stood once more before the Galactic Council. She looked up at the assembled alien faces, seeing the disdain and condescension written plainly in their expressions. "Counselors," she began, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "I come before you not as a supplicant, but as a warning. The human spirit will not be broken. Push us too far, and we will push back." The Altarian counselor sneered, his silver skin flashing in the chamber's light. "Is that a threat, Ambassador Solaris?" Zara met his gaze unflinchingly. "It is a promise. My people are suffering. They are angry, and they will not bow down forever." A ripple of unease passed through the chamber, quickly stifled by a bark of laughter from the Zorgan representative. "You overestimate your importance, human. Your species is a child throwing a tantrum. We will not indulge it." Zara felt something snap inside her, a final thread of restraint giving way to the roaring fury beneath. She took a step forward, her hands clenched into fists. "You underestimate us," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "You always have. But hear me now. If you do not lift these sanctions, if you do not treat humanity with the respect we deserve, then you will reap the whirlwind." Her voice rose to a shout, echoing off the chamber walls. "We will fight. We will bleed. We will tear down your empire stone by stone until the galaxy remembers why they once feared the name of Earth." The council erupted into chaos, shouts of outrage and alarm filling the air. But Zara stood tall amidst the storm, her eyes blazing with a fire that seemed to burn from within. She had given them their chance, and they had squandered it. Now it was time to show the galaxy what a berserker could do. The fires of rebellion. In the wake of Zara's defiance, the galaxy erupted into chaos. Across 100 worlds, human rebels rose up against their alien masters, armed with little more than stolen weapons and a lifetime of righteous anger. At the forefront of this uprising stood Zara Solaris, no longer a diplomat but a warrior. The rage that had simmered within her for so long had finally boiled over, unleashing a power she had never imagined possible. In battle, she was a force of nature, unstoppable and unrelenting. Her eyes blazed with an inner fire, and her every blow carried the weight of generations of oppression. The berserker blood sang in her veins, a war cry that echoed across the stars. Under Zara's leadership, the scattered rebel factions coalesced into a single unified force. She and her brother Kai led daring raids against Council outposts and supply lines, striking fear into the hearts of their alien foes. But it wasn't just Zara's tactical brilliance or her indomitable spirit that turned the tide. It was the Berserker fury itself, spreading like wildfire among the human rebels. Across battlefields on a dozen worlds, human fighters suddenly found themselves imbued with a strength and ferocity they had never known. Their eyes would blaze with that same inner light, their blows fueled by an unquenchable rage. The Council's forces, once so assured of their superiority, found themselves pushed back, outmatched by this new breed of human warrior. Whispers began to spread among the alien ranks, whispers of an ancient human legend reborn. They called them Berserkers, these warriors who fought with the fury of the gods themselves. And at their head, a figure wreathed in flame and fury, stood Zara Solaris. To the human rebels, she was a savior, a champion who had awoken the sleeping warrior within them all. To the Council and their allies, she was a nightmare made flesh, a monster out of myth and legend. The battles raged on, each victory fueling the fires of rebellion. Human forces seized control of key resources and strategic points, slowly but surely turning the tide against their alien oppressors. But even as the rebellion grew in strength, Zara knew that their greatest challenge still lay ahead. The heart of the Council's power, the great citadel on Altair Prime, remained unconquered. It was there, Zara knew, that the fate of humanity would be decided. It was there that she would face her greatest test, not just as a leader or a fighter, but as a berserker. As she stood on the bridge of her flagship, gazing out at the stars that had once seemed so cold and distant, Zara felt a sense of calm settle over her. The rage was still there, burning bright and hot, but it was tempered now by a sense of purpose, of destiny. She had been born for this, she realized. All her life, every struggle and setback, every moment of doubt and despair, had been leading her to this moment. Zara turned to face her crew, her eyes alight with that inner fire. "Set a course for Altair Prime," she said, her voice ringing with command. "It's time to finish this." The crew erupted into cheers, their voices joining in a battle cry that shook the very stars. They knew, as Zara did, that this was more than just another battle. This was a reckoning, a moment when humanity would finally claim its place among the stars. And at the forefront, leading the charge, would be Zara Solaris, a berserker reborn. The fires of rebellion had been lit, and they would not be quenched until the galaxy itself was remade. The Council had sown the seeds of their own destruction, and now they would reap the whirlwind. For Zara and her warriors, there could be no turning back. They would fight and bleed and die if need be, but they would not stop. Not until the galaxy remembered the name of Earth and trembled. The Berserker's wrath. The skies above Altair Prime blazed with the fires of war. Thousands of ships clashed in a deadly ballet, their hulls illuminated by the flare of explosions and the searing light of energy weapons. At the heart of this maelstrom, the rebel flagship Retribution carved a path of destruction through the Council's defenses. On its bridge, Zara Solaris stood tall and unwavering, her eyes fixed on the looming shape of the great citadel. This was it, the moment everything had been building towards, the final confrontation, where the fate of humanity would be decided once and for all. Zara felt the familiar rage building within her, a fire that burned hotter than the stars themselves. But this time, she didn't fight it. She embraced it, letting it fill her, fuel her, until her very skin seemed to glow with an inner light. Around her, the crew of the Retribution fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness. They were all berserkers now, every man and woman imbued with the same unstoppable fury that coursed through Zora's veins. The Council ships fell before them like wheat before a scythe, their hulls crumpling under the relentless onslaught. But even as they pushed forward, Zara knew that the real battle still lay ahead. The great citadel loomed before them, its shields shimmering with barely restrained power. This was the heart of the Council's might, the seat of their power. Taking it would not be easy. But Zara was beyond fear, beyond doubt. She was a force of nature, unstoppable and unrelenting. And she would not be denied. All forward batteries, fire at will, she commanded, her voice barely recognizable through the roar of the Berserker rage. Burn their shields. Carve us a path. We end this, here and now. The Retribution shuddered as its weapons unleashed a storm of destruction, the very fabric of space rippling under the onslaught. The Citadel's shields flared, buckled, then shattered under the relentless barrage. Zara felt a savage grin split her face. Ramming speed, she ordered, her words echoed by a chorus of eager roars from her crew. Let's introduce them to the might of Earth, up close and personal. The rebel flagship surged forward, the broken remains of council ships spinning away from its path. It struck the citadel like the fist of an angry god, metal screaming and hull plates shattering under the impact. But the Retribution held, its reinforced prow tearing through the outer layers of the great station. Zara was already moving, rallying her warriors as the first bulkheads gave way. They spilled into the corridors of the citadel like a tide of vengeful fury, Zara at their head. In the tight confines of the station, the battle devolved into a brutal hand-to-hand melee. But this was where the Berserkers excelled. Fueled by their rage, they tore through the Council's defenses, leaving a trail of broken bodies in their wake. Zara fought like a woman possessed, her every blow shattering bone, her every step leaving a trail of fire. She was the Berserker Queen, the living embodiment of humanity's undying will. And then, suddenly, she was there. The great council chamber, where the fate of worlds had been decided for centuries. The alien lords cowered before her, their arrogance and disdain replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. Zara advanced slowly, relishing their fear, savoring the moment. "You thought us weak," she said, her voice a low, dangerous growl. "You thought us beneath you, but you were wrong." She raised her blood-soaked fists, the Berserker fire burning bright in her eyes. "We are humanity. We are the children of Earth, and we will never ever bow to the likes of you." With a roar that shook the very foundations of the citadel, Zara and her warriors fell upon the counselors. It was not a battle, but a reckoning, a judgment written in blood and fire. And when it was over, when the last of the alien lords lay broken at her feet, Zara stood tall amidst the carnage, a triumphant smile on her face. They had done it. Against all odds, against the might of an entire galaxy, they had prevailed. Humanity was free, their destiny their own to shape. But even as the cheers of her victorious warriors filled the air, Zara knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had been forever changed this day. The old order swept away in a tide of fire and blood. A new era had dawned, one where humanity would take its rightful place among the stars. And Zara Solaris, the Berserker Queen, would lead them into that bright future. For she was the fury of Earth made flesh, the undying spirit of a species that would never, ever surrender. And the galaxy would tremble before her. A new dawn. In the days following the fall of the Citadel, a strange quiet settled over the galaxy. It was the silence of a universe holding its breath, waiting to see what new order would rise from the ashes of the old. On Earth and its colonies, the silence was broken by the sounds of celebration. The people danced in the streets, their laughter and tears mingling with the joyous cries of a species reborn. They had suffered, they had bled, but in the end, they had triumphed. The yoke of alien oppression had been cast off, shattered by the fury of the Berserkers and the indomitable will of the human spirit. At the heart of it all, Zara Solaris worked tirelessly to forge a new path for her people. The fires of the Berserker still burned within her, but they were tempered now by the weight of responsibility, by the knowledge that the future of humanity rested on her shoulders. There was so much to be done. Wounds to heal, alliances to forge, a new order to build from the rubble of the old. But Zara faced these challenges with the same unwavering determination that had carried her through the darkest days of the rebellion. She reached out to the other species who had suffered under the Council's rule, forging bonds of friendship and mutual respect. There were tensions, of course, old enmities that could not be erased overnight, but Zara met them with patience and understanding, a diplomat once more, but one backed by the strength of a warrior. Under her leadership, humanity began to flourish as never before. The old restrictions and limitations fell away, replaced by a new spirit of exploration and discovery. Human ships ventured out into the uncharted reaches of the galaxy, seeking new worlds, new allies, new frontiers to conquer. And always at the forefront stood Zara Solaris, the Berserker Queen. She became a legend, a figure of awe and inspiration, a reminder of the unbreakable spirit that dwelt within the human heart. The galaxy had changed, and humanity with it. They had been forged in the fires of war, tempered by suffering and sacrifice, but they had emerged stronger, united, unafraid to claim their place among the stars. As Zara stood on the observation deck of her new flagship, gazing out at the glittering expanse of the galaxy, she felt a sense of profound peace settle over her. The rage was still there, a flickering flame that would never truly be extinguished. But it was balanced now by a newfound sense of purpose, of destiny. She had been born for this, she realized. To lead, to inspire, to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. The berserker blood that flowed through her veins was not a curse, but a gift, a sacred trust that she would carry all the days of her life. And as she turned to face the future, Zara knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers or threats might rise to confront them, humanity would be ready. For they were the children of Earth, the heirs of the Berserker legacy. In their veins ran the fire of warriors, the dreams of explorers, the undying will of a species that had dared to reach for the stars. And with Zara Solaris to lead them, there was no limit to what they might achieve, no frontier they could not conquer. A new dawn had risen over the galaxy, and it carried the promise of a glorious future, a destiny written in starlight and forged in the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The Berserker Queen smiled, her eyes alight with the fire of 1,000 suns. "Let's get to work," she said, and the universe trembled before her.